We can't be sure of the exact details of the massacre at the Jedi Temple. After escorting a column of clone troopers up the steps in front of the great doors, Anakin Skywalker led the charge, slicing his way through knights and younglings, as we all saw in Revenge of the Sith. There were very few Jedi who survived the encounter, and even fewer still who survived the hound-like tracking skills of the Inquisitors, who the Emperor would unleash on the galaxy in the days after. But during his time in the Jedi Temple, on that horrid evening, one has to wonder, why wasn't Anakin Skywalker stopped by the security droid of the Jedi Library, KATOR? Not long after his duel on Mustafar, Anakin was reborn as Darth Vader, and in one of the first missions from under the black armor that coated his mutilated body, entombing him forever, Vader was tasked by the Emperor with tracking down the whereabouts of Jocasta Nu. She likely held in her possession a memory crystal. Now, if you remember from the comics, she held in her possession a memory crystal which the Emperor desperately wanted to add to his Jedi collection. But more than that, he wanted to decrypt the data files stored inside, which held the whereabouts of the next generation of Force-sensitive children that the Jedi had planned to recruit to the temple on Coruscant. During the day of his mission, Vader went to the abandoned Jedi Library, its archival rows now filled with stone debris. Soon after arriving in the library, Vader managed to find Jocasta Nu. Realizing that she might die in the fight, Nu decided that her best shot at survival was to flee to the secret chambers of the archives. Perhaps Vader might lose her tracks or get lost in the confusion, she thought. As the newly christened Sith Lord hounded the Jedi Master, he came across a very interesting droid, KATOR, armored in black steel with golden patterns etched into his helm. The droid was a Guardian Protector. It had been assigned to protect the vault of the Jedi Library, along with all the sensitive materials kept inside, like the rows of antique lightsabers or the Kyber crystal-powered rifle, which I hope to see in a show someday. As Vader descended a staircase, marching towards a black room that Master Nu had escaped into, the droid immediately blocked the entrance and protested. After a quick bioscan, the robot identified Vader not as an intruder, but as Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, someone who didn't have a high enough clearance to wander these quarters. "Your presence in this vault is not authorized," the droid coldly warned. It tried to continue speaking, but was interrupted by the flash of a spinning crimson blade as Vader threw his lightsaber towards its face. With a single outstretched hand, featuring a few different blaster barrels attached to its forearm, the Guardian Protector caught the weapon. Almost amused by Vader's effort, it had to remind the former Jedi that it was more capable of defending itself against lightsaber-wielding adversaries. "I am the Guardian Protector of one of the most sensitive areas of the Jedi Temple, programmed to defend against any and all threats to its security. Of course, that includes techniques related to Jedi saber attacks." And then it paused, using its visual scanners to look over the red blade one more time before musing aloud. "Or perhaps Sith." In the ensuing fight, Vader remained unarmed, but was forced to trade punches with the droid. Using his cyborg limbs in hand-to-hand combat was less than ideal, but it was a great opportunity to showcase one of Vader's lesser-seen attributes, his ability to punch straight through hardened metal. The Sith Lord landed the first blow, causing the Guardian Protector's left arm to explode from its socket. In return, the droid used its remaining arm to grab hold of Vader's hand, crushing the black glove with all of its strength. Furious that his new body once again would have to be repaired at Palpatine's workshop, Vader balled his other hand into a fist and punched a hole through the droid's head. The fight was over in a matter of seconds, and Vader continued his trudge through the archives, eventually finding Master Nu and capturing her by the end of the day, killing her. So one has to wonder, why didn't this droid try to prevent Anakin's attacks on the temple earlier, during Order 66, during the original siege on the temple following Mace Windu's death? With an entire legion of clones at his back, it's unlikely that the Guardian Protector would have made much of a difference in the siege, but still would have done his duty. After all, one of the best duelists in the entire Jedi Order, Sindrelig, was easily cut down by Skywalker during the massacre. Still, it is interesting that the droid never tried. Maybe it was sanctioned just to that one area and ordered or programmed to never leave. When we think of some reasons why, we probably have to look a bit more closely at Jocasta Nu. When the head librarian returned to the temple and secretly tried to infiltrate the now Imperial-controlled Jedi Library, she had an interesting conversation with the security droid. As Master Nu walked into the vault room, she spared no time with pleasantries and simply asked, "Is it safe?" she wasn't talking about the Kyber-powered rifle or the ancient Sith holocron displayed behind the glass counter. She was referring to the memory crystal with the thousands of Force-sensitive children listed within it. When responding, the droid dryly offered a simple, "Of course, I have kept my watch." And that must be our answer. Perhaps more important than fighting and dying in the defense of the Jedi on the night of the Temple siege, the droid believed that protecting the powerful relics inside the library's vault was the highest priority, in particular, the information regarding Force-sensitive children throughout the galaxy. And if we think about it, it kind of makes sense. You know, it's always a terrible task to weigh the value of someone's life, of course, but that's what makes droids particularly good at their jobs. The Guardian Protector droid that had served Jocasta Nu so faithfully made a careful decision on the night of the siege and decided the deaths of the other Jedi with the Temple, including the younglings that Anakin mercilessly cut down, which we saw even more of in depth on the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi show, were all acceptable casualties for the greater good in his mind. Again, it's quite unlikely that the droid could have stopped the newly converted Sith Lord Darth Vader at that time in Revenge of the Sith when he ascended the steps to the Jedi Temple anyways. But perhaps if the droid was able to put up some amount of resistance, he would have given much needed seconds to the other Jedi as they fled. Maybe some more could have gotten away. Instead, he waited in the lightless black vault, prepared to gun down any clone troopers who dared enter. I wonder if there were maybe a legion of these droids that the Temple could have had created or programmed. Maybe they could have done some damage against the clones. Then again, I'm pretty sure the Jedi felt that the Jedi themselves were better than any droid. Which brings us into Yoda's arrogance and just being foolhardy, thinking the Jedi could pretty much handle everything, you know. What's the worst that could happen at the Jedi Temple? Really nothing if they're all there. But that's the advantage that Palpatine took. He waited for the right moment when they were all dispersed. For Kenobi to be on Utapau, for Yoda to be on Kashyyyk, and then taking out Mace Windu. Well, everything after that, Lord Vader could handle himself. Something I think would have been pretty cool to see is if Palpatine had actually gone into the temple during Order 66 alongside Anakin. Now, I believe he would have done this if Yoda was at the Jedi Temple along with Master Kenobi. And this is a fanfiction I'd definitely like to take and tackle because I think it would make things a lot more interesting if Yoda had just arrived, let's say on Coruscant, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin was sent to the Jedi Temple to do what must be done. I believe in that moment where he was putting his hood up in his office, he would perhaps sense something that Yoda was arriving, and he would say, "I feel something in the Force. Perhaps I will accompany you to the Jedi Temple, and I will witness your new powers with my own eyes." I don't know, something fun like that. Now, Palpatine did actually go to the temple at the end of Order 66, or at the end of the Temple Massacre, and we see this when Obi-Wan is looking at the hologram of Anakin, or Darth Vader at this point, kneeling before Sidious. Anyways, I always wondered if this droid would have actually done anything if he put up a fight. Maybe he could have saved a few Jedi. Let me know. Of course, keep in mind this droid was added in by Disney once Lucasfilm was sold. So there were no droids really when George was writing the story. At least not like this. Hope you have a great day. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and let me know your thoughts down below. Until the next one, remember, the Force will be with you. Always.